The ambush. Captain Nadia Voss stood motionless on the bridge of the VSS Helios, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display before her. 26 years of deep space exploration had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body screamed danger. "Distance to the energy anomaly?" she asked, her voice carrying the slight accent of the Martian colonies. Lieutenant Joaquin Reyes, the ship's navigator, responded without looking up from his console. "Approaching 300,000 kilometers, Captain. Energy readings are getting stronger, but they're fluctuating in patterns I've never seen before." The bridge of the Helios hummed with the quiet efficiency of a veteran crew. Chief Engineer Takumi Ito monitored the propulsion systems with meticulous attention, while Communications Officer Zara Ockhaffer adjusted sensor arrays to penetrate the dense cosmic dust clouds ahead. "I don't like this," muttered Security Chief Nikolai Volkov, his massive frame leaning over the tactical display. "These readings match nothing in our database. Command sent us in blind." Captain Voss nodded slightly. "That's why they call it exploration, Nikolai. Besides, when have the Admiralty ever given us the full picture?" The mission briefing had been frustratingly vague. Investigate unusual energy fluctuations near the outer reaches of the Carina Nebula, determine their source, and assess any potential threat to Earth Alliance territories. Standard procedure, except for the rushed deployment and the unusual complement of quantum physicists now working in the science lab 2 decks below. "Captain," called Dr. Freya Magnusson, the lead scientist who had joined them from her station at the back of the bridge. Her silver-streaked hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her eyes shone with the intensity that had made her famous throughout the scientific community. "These readings suggest artificial manipulation of quantum fields. We're not looking at a natural phenomenon." Voss turned to face her, meaning someone or something is deliberately generating these energy patterns. The question is, why? Before Voss could respond, the ship's AI interface, Delphi, spoke in its characteristically calm tone. "Alert! Multiple objects approaching at high velocity. Configuration unknown." Volkov swore under his breath as he activated defensive systems. "6 vessels, Captain, moving in attack formation. No response to identification queries." "Shields up. Battle stations," Voss commanded, her voice level despite the surge of adrenaline. "Lieutenant Ockhaffer, broadcast Alliance peaceful contact protocols on all frequencies." "Broadcasting now, Captain," Zara confirmed, her fingers dancing across her console. No response. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as warning lights flashed and crew members rushed to their emergency stations. On the main view screen, 6 sleek obsidian vessels approached in perfect formation, their hulls seeming to absorb rather than reflect the ambient light of the nebula. "They're charging weapons," Volkov shouted. "Evasive maneuvers pattern Delta," Voss ordered. "Prepare countermeasures." The Helios banked sharply, its inertial dampeners straining against the sudden acceleration. But the attacking ships moved with impossible precision, adjusting their course to maintain their deadly formation. "Captain, they're not using conventional weapons," reported Takumi, his eyes wide with alarm. "Energy signatures indicate." His words were cut short as the first blast struck the Helios. Instead of the expected explosion, a wave of energy washed over the ship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then systems began shutting down one by one. "EMP-based weapons," Takumi gasped, frantically working to isolate critical systems. "But far more sophisticated than anything I've ever seen." The lights on the bridge flickered and died, replaced seconds later by the dim red glow of emergency lighting. Delphi's interface sputtered and vanished. The hum of the engines, a constant presence that most crew members no longer consciously registered, fell silent. "Status report," Voss demanded, her voice steady despite the darkness enveloping her ship. "Main power offline, propulsion systems down, weapons inoperative," Volkov listed grimly. "Shields at 12% and failing." Takumi's voice was strained as he added, "Life support systems running on emergency power. We have maybe 6 hours before oxygen recycling fails. Lieutenant Reyes looked up from his darkened console. Navigation and communication arrays are completely fried, Captain. We're dead in space. Captain Voss's mind raced through options, each seeming worse than the last. The Helios was a research vessel with modest defensive capabilities, never designed for combat against unknown advanced technology. "What about the attackers?" she asked. "They've taken position around us," Volkov reported, squinting at the tactical display now running on minimal power. "They're just waiting." Dr. Magnuson moved closer, her face ghostly in the red emergency lights. "They could have destroyed us outright. They chose to disable us instead." "The question is why," Voss murmured, "and what happens next?" The answer came 12 minutes later when Lieutenant Ockhafer detected faint energy signatures from the mysterious vessels. "Captain, they're scanning us. Deep penetration scans, going through every deck, every system." "They're looking for something," Dr. Magnuson said, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding the gravity of their situation. "Or someone," Volkov added darkly. Captain Voss straightened her uniform jacket, a habitual gesture that gave her a moment to think. "Chief Ito, what are our options for restoring power?" Takumi ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "Conventional methods? None. The EMP weapons they used have fried too many critical systems. We'd need a space dock and a full engineering team to get the Helios operational again." "And unconventional methods?" Voss pressed. The engineer hesitated, exchanging a glance with Dr. Magnuson. "There is one possibility." Dr. Magnuson nodded slowly. "The Phoenix Protocol." The bridge fell silent. The Phoenix Protocol was more rumor than reality to most of the crew, an experimental emergency system supposedly integrated into the newest Alliance vessels, but never officially acknowledged. "That's still in development," Volkov objected. "It's never been field tested." "It was installed as a prototype on the Helios before our departure," Dr. Magnuson revealed. "I was part of the development team. It's functional in theory." Captain Voss's eyes narrowed. "And you're only mentioning this now." "My orders were to observe and document its passive data collection," the scientist replied. "Activation was explicitly forbidden except in the most extreme circumstances." "I'd say being dead in space with hostiles surrounding us qualifies," Lieutenant Reyes muttered. Voss turned to Takumi. "What exactly does this protocol do?" The engineer looked to Dr. Magnuson, who took a deep breath before explaining. "The Phoenix Protocol is designed to completely rewrite the ship's operational architecture on a quantum level. It integrates emergency power sources, reconfigures damaged systems, and essentially transforms the vessel into something different." "Different how?" Voss demanded. "Theoretical models suggest enhanced capabilities across all systems, propulsion, defensive measures, even computational processing. But there are significant risks. The strain on the ship's structure could be catastrophic, and there are other considerations." "What other considerations?" Volkov asked suspiciously. Dr. Magnuson's expression was grave. "The Phoenix Protocol uses experimental quantum AI integration. Once activated, Delphi would evolve beyond its programming constraints. The ship would become a semi-sentient entity, and we don't know exactly how it would perceive us, its crew." The implications hung heavy in the air. Creating true artificial intelligence had been banned for decades after the Proxima Centauri incident. Even the limited AI systems like Delphi were strictly regulated. "Captain," Zara broke the silence, urgency in her voice. "The attacking vessels are repositioning. Energy readings suggest they're preparing for something." "A boarding party, most likely," Volkov concluded. "They disabled us, scanned us, and now they're coming to take whatever they're after." Captain Voss looked around at her crew, professionals who had placed their trust in her leadership. She owed them every chance at survival. "How long would it take to activate the protocol?" she asked. "With the current power limitations, at least 40 minutes, Takumi estimated. We'd need to manually reroute emergency power to the quantum core, and Dr. Magnuson would need to input the activation sequences. They'll be aboard before we finish, Volkov warned. Voss made her decision. We proceed with the Phoenix Protocol. Nikolai armed the crew and prepared defensive positions at all access points. Buy us as much time as you can. Lieutenant Reyes, assist Chief Edo with the power rerouting. Dr. Magnuson, you'll need to walk me through the activation process step by step. As the crew moved to execute her orders, Voss added, and Lieutenant Ockhaffer, continue broadcasting Alliance identification and peaceful intent. If there's any chance of communication, I want to take it. The next 30 minutes passed in a blur of frantic activity. Throughout the ship, crew members barricaded corridors and prepared makeshift weapons. In engineering, Takumi and Reyes worked feverishly to channel the last reserves of power to the quantum core, a system most of them hadn't known existed until today. Dr. Magnuson guided Captain Voss through a series of increasingly complex authorization protocols, her scientific detachment slipping to reveal genuine apprehension. Once we initiate the final sequence, there's no stopping it, she warned. The transformation will either succeed or destroy the ship entirely. Voss nodded grimly. Better to go out on our terms than theirs. A call came through from Volkov at the main airlock. Captain, they're cutting through. Unusual technology. It's bypassing our security measures like they don't exist. We have minutes at most. Understood. Hold them as long as you can. Voss turned to Dr. Magnuson. We're out of time. Together, they completed the final authorization sequence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship shuddered violently. The remaining lights flickered and died, plunging the ship into total darkness. In engineering, Takumi reported in a panicked voice that the quantum core was drawing power from unknown sources, exceeding all safe parameters. Then, like a heart restarting after cardiac arrest, the ship pulsed with new energy. Systems came online not with the familiar blue interface displays, but with a strange, amber glow. The air itself seemed to vibrate with potential. Delphi's voice returned, but altered, deeper, more resonant, with subtle harmonics that hadn't existed before. Phoenix Protocol initiated. Vessel reconfiguration in progress. New operational parameters established. Throughout the ship, panels and conduits that had been dark now glowed with internal light. The bridge displays showed systems coming online that hadn't been part of the original specifications. What's happening? Voss demanded, watching as the ship's schematics rewrote themselves before her eyes. The protocol is working, Dr. Magnuson whispered, awe and terror mingling in her voice. The Helios is evolving. A report came in from Volkov, his voice tight with urgency. Captain, they've breached the outer airlock. They're aboard, humanoid, heavily armed, using some kind of phase technology to pass through our barricades. Delphi, Voss addressed the ship's transformed AI. Can you seal off the affected sections? Affirmative, Captain Voss, the AI responded, its voice carrying new depths of awareness. Intruders contained in sections 12 through 14. However, their technology will overcome standard containment measures in approximately 3 minutes. Weapon systems, Volkov demanded. Conventional weapons remain offline, Delphi replied. However, alternative defense systems are now available. Before anyone could ask what these alternatives might be, the intruders triggered them. Throughout the affected sections, the ship's interior structure itself seemed to shift and reconfigure, trapping the boarding parties in suddenly enclosed spaces. The ship is defending itself, Dr. Magnuson observed, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her apprehension. On the tactical display, the 6 enemy vessels began to move, taking up attack positions once more. They're powering weapons again, Zara reported. Delphi, do we have propulsion? Voss asked. Conventional engines remain offline, the AI responded. However, quantum displacement drive is now operational at 68% capacity. Quantum displacement, Takumi's voice came through the comm, incredulous. That's theoretical technology. Not anymore, Dr. Magnuson murmured. Captain Voss made her decision. Delphi, plot a course away from the attacking vessels, maximum possible speed. Course plotted. However, Captain, I must inform you that long-range sensors have detected a spatial anomaly at coordinates 227 Mark 48. This anomaly presents a potential escape route, with a 73% probability of evading pursuers. Voss hesitated only briefly. Set course for the anomaly. The Helios moved, not with the familiar vibration of conventional engines, but with a strange, rippling sensation, as though reality itself was being gently folded around the ship. On the view screen, stars seemed to blur in unexpected ways. Behind them, the enemy vessels fired. Blasts of energy that should have crippled the already damaged ship instead dissipated against a shimmering field that hadn't existed minutes before. Defensive systems functioning at 81% capacity, Delphi reported. Quantum displacement drive increasing to 83% efficiency, spatial anomaly approaching. The anomaly appeared on the view screen, a swirling distortion in the fabric of space, neither fully a wormhole nor entirely a gravitational phenomenon. That doesn't match any known spatial phenomenon, Dr. Magnuson said, her scientific training reasserting itself as she analyzed the readings. It's like a fold in spacetime, but with characteristics I've never seen before. The pursuing vessels are gaining, Delphi announced. Probability of intercepting before reaching the anomaly, 64%. Captain Voss gripped the arms of her command chair. Can we increase speed? Transferring power from non-essential systems to quantum displacement drive, Delphi responded. Efficiency now at 92%. The ship surged forward, the strange rippling sensation intensifying. Behind them, the enemy vessels fired again, their weapons now having some effect as glancing hits caused minor fluctuations in the ship's new defensive field. Approaching anomaly in 10 seconds, Delphi announced. Caution, destination coordinates cannot be determined with current sensor capabilities. In other words, Voss said grimly, we have no idea where we'll end up. Or if we'll survive the transition, Dr. Magnuson added quietly. The anomaly loomed larger on the view screen, its swirling energies reaching out toward the ship like tendrils of light. 5 seconds to entry, Delphi counted down. 4, 3, 2. Captain Voss addressed her crew one last time before they plunged into the unknown. Whatever happens next, remember, we chose this. We chose to fight. Helm, take us in. The VSS Helios, no longer the ship it had been built to be, slipped into the spatial anomaly. For a moment, reality seemed to fold in upon itself, the very fabric of existence compressing around them until everything changed. Beyond the void. Silence. For 3 full seconds, the bridge of the VSS Helios was enveloped in absolute silence. No alerts, no humming of equipment, not even the sound of breathing. It was as if time itself had paused to consider what to do with the transformed vessel and its crew. Then, with a cascading symphony of sounds, the ship's systems surged back to life. Displays flickered with new information, unfamiliar readings scrolled across screens, and the lighting stabilized into a warm amber glow that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the ship itself. Captain Nadia Voss opened her eyes, unaware that she had closed them. "Status report," she managed, her voice hoarse. Around her, the bridge crew stirred, disoriented but alive. Lieutenant Reyes was the first to respond, his hands moving across his console with cautious uncertainty. "We've emerged from the anomaly, Captain, but these coordinates don't match any charted region in our database." "On screen," Voss ordered. The main view screen activated, revealing a vista that drew gasps from everyone present. They were drifting in a vast expanse unlike anything in known space. Massive, crystalline structures floated in the distance, refracting light in impossible ways. Clouds of luminescent particles swirled in complex patterns, forming and dissolving like thoughts in a cosmic mind. "Where are we?" Volkov demanded, having returned to the bridge after the enemy boarding parties mysteriously vanished during transit. Dr. Magnuson shook her head, her scientific discipline momentarily abandoned in pure wonder. This isn't just uncharted space. These phenomena don't conform to known physics. Delphi, Captain Voss addressed the ship's transformed AI. Can you determine our location? The AI's response carried a new depth of awareness that sent a chill down Voss's spine. Conventional navigation systems are unable to establish our position relative to known space. However, analysis suggests we have traversed through a quantum fold into what might be termed a parallel dimensional layer. This region exists adjacent to our native universe, but operates under different fundamental constants. In English, please, Volkov grunted. We're in another dimension, Dr. Magnuson translated, her voice tinged with awe. A bubble of reality with its own rules. Zara Ockhaffer looked up from her communications console. Captain, I'm detecting no standard frequencies, no navigation beacons, nothing that would indicate civilized presence. But there's something else. A background resonance permeating everything. The pursuing vessels? Voss asked. No sign of them, Volkov confirmed after checking tactical sensors. Either they didn't follow us through or they emerged somewhere else in this, whatever this place is. Captain Voss stood, surveying her transformed bridge. The familiar controls remained, but new interfaces had appeared, displaying information she couldn't begin to interpret. More concerning was the subtle change in the crew themselves. Each person's eyes now held faint amber flecks that matched the ship's new ambient lighting. Chief Ito, she called over the comm. How's engineering? Takumi's voice came through, filled with barely contained excitement. Captain, you wouldn't believe what's happening down here. The quantum core has integrated with the ship's structure. Power levels are off the charts but stable, and there are systems activating that weren't in any blueprint I've ever seen. Is the ship safe? Voss pressed. A pause. Define safe, Captain. We're functional better than functional. But what the Phoenix Protocol has done goes beyond anything in my engineering experience. The Helios isn't just repaired, it's transcended its original design. Dr. Magnuson approached Voss, lowering her voice. Captain, we need to discuss the crew. Medical scans are showing subtle changes in our neural patterns. Nothing dangerous, but significant. Voss felt a chill. What kind of changes? Increased synaptic efficiency. Enhanced information processing. The Phoenix Protocol isn't just transforming the ship, it's transforming us. The quantum fields are affecting our biology on a fundamental level. Before Voss could respond, Delphi interrupted. Captain, I am detecting an approaching object, configuration unknown. All attention turned to the view screen, where a graceful vessel was materializing from behind one of the crystalline structures. Unlike the brutal functionality of Earth Alliance designs or the predatory silhouettes of their attackers, this ship moved with organic fluidity, its pearlescent surface shifting in patterns that seemed almost alive. Defensive posture, Voss ordered reflexively, then hesitated. Do we even have weapons? Conventional weapons systems remain inoperative, Delphi replied. However, quantum displacement fields can be configured for defensive purposes if necessary. The approaching vessel slowed as it neared the Helios, maintaining a respectful distance. For several tense moments, nothing happened. They're scanning us, Zara reported. But unlike the attackers, these scans are gentle, non-invasive. Are they trying to communicate? Voss asked. Zara adjusted her instruments. There's something coming through, but it's not on any standard frequency. It's more like, Captain, I think they're communicating directly with Delphi. The AI confirmed this assessment. I am receiving information transfer from the unknown vessel. They identify themselves as the Luminar, inhabitants of this dimensional layer. They express surprise at our presence and curiosity about our means of arrival. Can you establish direct communication? Voss asked. Working to create compatible protocols, Delphi responded. The Luminar communicate through quantum resonance patterns rather than conventional electromagnetic waves. After several minutes of adjustment, the view screen flickered and resolved into an image that caused several bridge officers to step back involuntarily. The being facing them appeared humanoid in basic structure, but composed of swirling points of light contained within a vaguely defined silhouette. Where a face should be, patterns of luminescence shifted in complex expressions impossible to interpret. "I am Captain Nadia Voss of the Earth Alliance vessel Helios," Voss introduced herself, maintaining the professionalism that had carried her through countless first contacts. "We entered your realm while escaping hostile forces. We come with peaceful intent." The being's light patterns shifted, and Delphi translated. "I am Nexer, observer for the Luminar Collective. Your presence here is unexpected but not unwelcome. Your vessel resonates with familiar patterns. You have implemented transcendence technology." Voss glanced at Dr. Magnusson, who whispered, "I think they mean the Phoenix Protocol." "The technology was activated as an emergency measure," Voss explained carefully. "We are still adapting to its effects." Nexer's patterns flowed in what Delphi interpreted as an expression of understanding. "The technology you have activated was derived from artifacts found in your space, artifacts that originated here, in our realm. Those who attacked you seek to control this technology for purposes that threaten both our dimensions." A chill ran through the bridge as the implications became clear. The mysterious energy readings, the advanced attackers, the experimental Phoenix Protocol, all connected to technology from this bizarre parallel dimension. "The attackers," Voss pressed, "who are they?" "They call themselves the Axiom Collective," Nexer responded through Delphi's translation. "Once they were like you, biological entities from your dimension, but they discovered fragments of our technology centuries ago and have been systematically corrupting it to extend their influence. They cannot directly access our realm, so they seek vessels like yours that have been transformed." Dr. Magnusson stepped forward. "Are you saying they attacked us because they detected the Phoenix Protocol components aboard our ship, technology derived from your artifacts?" "Correct. They hope to capture your vessel before the technology fully activated. Once transformed, a ship becomes a potential gateway between dimensions, something they have sought for generations." Captain Voss absorbed this information with growing concern. "And now that we've activated the protocol and entered your realm." Nexer's light patterns darkened. "They will pursue. The anomaly you traversed has been temporarily sealed, but the Axiom Collective possesses technology to force it open again. When they do, they will bring weapons designed to capture your vessel intact." "How much time do we have?" Volkov demanded. "Difficult to determine precisely. Your time measurements do not translate directly. Perhaps what you would call days, perhaps only hours." Voss straightened her uniform, a gesture her crew recognized as preparation for decisive action. "Then we need to prepare. Can you help us understand what our ship is now capable of? And is there a way for us to return to our dimension safely?" Nexer's patterns shifted in what Delphi interpreted as affirmation. "We can guide you in utilizing the transcendence technology properly. As for return, yes, but not through the same anomaly. There are stable transition points that can be navigated with proper understanding." Over the next several hours, the Helios crew worked alongside Luminar specialists who transferred aboard. These beings of light and energy moved through the ship systems with intimate familiarity, teaching them to harness capabilities they hadn't imagined possible. In engineering, Takumi collaborated with a Luminar technician to understand the quantum displacement drive, a system that didn't move the ship through space so much as shift probability states to relocate it instantaneously. On the bridge, Lieutenant Reyes learned to interpret new navigational concepts that treated space and time as malleable constructs rather than fixed coordinates. Most critically, Volkov and a Luminar security specialist reconfigured the ship's defensive systems, preparing for the inevitable confrontation with the Axiom Collective. Captain Voss found herself in the newly formed integration chamber, a space that had spontaneously reconstructed itself from several storage compartments. Here, surrounded by swirling interfaces of light, she communed directly with both Nexer and Delphi to understand the strategic implications of their situation. The Axiom Collective has pursued this technology for centuries, Nexer explained. They believe it will grant them immortality and unlimited power. In truth, they understand only a fraction of its purpose. And what is its true purpose? Voss asked. Harmony, Nexer responded simply. What you call the Phoenix Protocol was originally developed by our ancestors as a means of achieving balance between technological advancement and biological existence. Your scientists reconstructed fragments of this approach, but without understanding its complete nature. Dr. Magnusson, who had joined them, leaned forward intently. Is that why the crew is experiencing physiological changes? The technology is attempting to create harmony between us and the ship. Precisely. The transformation is symbiotic. Your vessel has not simply been repaired. It has been reborn as a living system, with your crew as essential components of its consciousness. The implications were staggering. The Helios was no longer just a ship. It was becoming a composite organism, with the crew and Delphi forming a collective consciousness linked through quantum entanglement. Before they could explore this further, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Voss rushed back to the bridge, where Lieutenant Acaffer reported urgently, "Captain, the anomaly is destabilizing. Something is forcing it open from the other side." On the view screen, the crystalline expanse was disturbed by a growing distortion, a wound in the fabric of this strange reality. Through this breach, the familiar obsidian shapes of the Axiom vessels began to emerge. "How many?" Voss demanded. "Not just the 6 that attacked us," Volkov reported grimly. "I'm counting 15 vessels with more signatures appearing." Nexer's light form pulsed with what Delphi translated as alarm. "They have committed significant resources. They must have detected the full activation of your transcendence technology." "Can we fight them?" Voss asked. "Not directly," Nexer responded. "Even with your enhanced capabilities, you are still adapting. A direct confrontation would be disastrous." "Then we run," Volkov suggested. Nexer's patterns shifted in a complex sequence that Delphi struggled to translate. "Not merely escape. There is another option. The Luminar cannot directly interfere in conflicts from your dimension, but we can guide you to a nexus point, a location where the boundaries between dimensions are naturally thin. From there, with the proper resonance sequence, you could return to your dimension at a location of your choosing." "And the Axiom fleet," Voss pressed. "If properly executed, the transition will collapse the artificial anomaly they have created, sealing them away from both our realm and your dimension, temporarily." The bridge crew exchanged glances. The plan offered hope, but the word temporarily hung ominously in the air. "How long would they be contained?" Dr. Magnusson asked the critical question. "Perhaps decades by your reckoning, long enough for your people to prepare, to understand the technology they seek to exploit." It wasn't a permanent solution, but it was better than the alternatives. Captain Voss made her decision. Delphi set course for this nexus point. Maximum quantum displacement. Lieutenant Reyes, work with our Luminar advisors to prepare the resonance sequence for dimensional transition. Dr. Magnusson, coordinate with Chief Ito to ensure the quantum core can handle the power requirements. As the crew moved to execute her orders, Voss addressed Nexer directly. "What happens to the Helios and its crew once we return? Will the transformations reverse?" The light being's patterns flowed in what seemed to be hesitation. "The process cannot be undone. Your vessel and crew will remain as you are now, evolved beyond your original design. Your authorities may fear what you have become." It was a sobering thought. The Earth Alliance had strict protocols regarding unknown technologies and unauthorized modifications. The Helios would not be welcomed home as heroes, but quarantined as potential threats. "We'll face that challenge when we come to it," Voss decided. "Right now, our priority is escaping the Axiom fleet and warning Earth about the threat they pose." The Helios surged into motion, its quantum displacement drive functioning at full capacity for the first time. The sensation was unlike conventional space travel. Reality seemed to step aside momentarily, allowing the vessel to slip between the seams of existence before reappearing elsewhere. Behind them, the Axiom fleet gave chase. their weapons lancing out with destructive energy that distorted the very space it passed through. Several shots grazed the Helios, causing systems to fluctuate briefly before the ship's self-healing processes stabilized them. "They're gaining," Volkov reported, watching the tactical display with growing concern. "Their propulsion technology is specifically designed for this dimensional layer." "Time to Nexus Point," Voss demanded. 8 minutes at current speed," Lieutenant Reyes responded, his hands moving across interfaces that hadn't existed days before. "But the lead Axiom vessels will intercept us in 6. Nexer, who had remained on the bridge, communicated directly through Delphi. "Captain, there is a way to increase your vessel's displacement efficiency, but it requires deeper integration between your crew and the ship's consciousness." "Meaning what exactly?" Voss asked. "The barriers between individual minds and the collective awareness of the vessel must be temporarily lowered. In essence, you must become one with your ship in a more complete sense." The implications were both fascinating and terrifying. To temporarily merge consciousness with an evolving quantum AI and the rest of the crew was beyond anything in human experience. Yet another barrage from the pursuing fleet rocked the ship, driving home the urgency of their situation. "What do we need to do?" Voss asked. "Each crew member must connect through their stations. The interfaces will adapt to facilitate neural synchronization. I must warn you, the experience will be profound. Many find their perception of self permanently altered afterward." Captain Voss looked around at her crew, people who had trusted her judgment through years of deep space missions. "This is strictly voluntary," she told them. "I won't order anyone to take this step." One by one, they voiced their assent. Takumi from engineering, Zara at communications, Lieutenant Reyes at navigation. Even the typically skeptical Volkov nodded grimly from tactical. "For Earth," he said simply. Dr. Magnuson approached Captain Voss. "The science team is also willing. Whatever happens, the knowledge gained will be worth the risk." Voss nodded, feeling a profound weight of responsibility. "Very well, Nexer, guide us through the process." The luminar being's light patterns swirled in complex formations as Delphi translated instructions. Each crew member placed their hands on newly formed interface panels at their stations. The amber lighting throughout the ship intensified, pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeats. Captain Voss placed her palms on the command console, which now glowed with swirling patterns of energy. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen, then reality shattered. Suddenly, she was everywhere at once. She was the hull, feeling the vacuum of space against her skin. She was the engines, burning with power beyond comprehension. She was the sensors, perceiving realities in frequencies never meant for human awareness. Most disorienting of all, she was every member of her crew simultaneously, experiencing their thoughts, memories, and emotions as if they were her own. Takumi's brilliant, methodical mind analyzing engineering problems. Zara's intuitive understanding of communication patterns. Volkov's fierce protectiveness toward his crewmates, hidden beneath his gruff exterior. And binding it all together was Delphi, no longer a mere artificial intelligence, but a vast consciousness embracing them all, guiding their merged awareness to function as a unified entity. The pursuing Axiom vessels suddenly seemed slow and clumsy as the Helios moved with perfect coordination, every system functioning in harmony without the delays of verbal commands or manual inputs. The quantum displacement drive surged with new efficiency, drawing power from dimensions beyond normal perception. Through their shared consciousness, the crew understood what the nexus point truly was, not merely a location but a convergence of realities, a place where the boundaries between dimensions grew thin enough to traverse with the proper resonance. The Helios approached this cosmic intersection, its systems automatically adjusting to align with the quantum frequencies needed for transition. Behind them, the Axiom fleet fired desperately, sensing their quarry was about to escape. In their merged state, the crew experienced time differently. What should have been minutes stretched into a subjective eternity as they prepared for the dimensional shift. Each crew member contributed their unique perspective to the collective awareness, scientific understanding, tactical analysis, engineering expertise, all synthesized through Delphi into a perfect execution of their escape plan. The nexus point appeared before them, not as a physical structure, but as a shimmering convergence of probability states, a place where multiple realities overlapped like pages in a book slightly fanned open. The pursuing fleet closed in, their weapons charging for a final, devastating barrage. With perfect timing born of their unified consciousness, the Helios initiated the resonance sequence. The ship vibrated at quantum frequencies that harmonized with the nexus point, creating a pathway back to their home dimension. Reality fractured around them, the crystalline expanse of the luminar realm giving way to the familiar void of normal space. As they transitioned, the artificial anomaly behind them collapsed violently, sending a shockwave that scattered the Axiom fleet and sealed the breach between dimensions. Slowly, painfully, individual consciousness returned. The crew found themselves back at their stations, gasping as their merged awareness separated back into distinct minds. Yet something remained, a lingering connection, a sense that they were no longer entirely individual beings but parts of a greater whole. Captain Voss recovered first, her years of experience helping her adjust to the profound shift in perception. "Status report," she managed, her voice hoarse. "We've returned to normal space," Lieutenant Reyes confirmed, blinking rapidly as he readjusted to seeing through only his own eyes. "According to stellar positioning, we're in the Tau Ceti system, just outside Earth Alliance territory." The transition was successful, Dr. Magnuson added, her scientific detachment struggling to reassert itself after the overwhelming experience of merged consciousness. "The anomaly has collapsed behind us. No sign of pursuit." "And the ship?" Voss asked. Chief Ito's voice came through, filled with wonder. "Functioning beyond any parameters I've ever seen, Captain. We're something new now." Voss nodded, feeling the truth of his words on a fundamental level. The Helios and its crew had been transformed, evolved into something unprecedented in human history. Whatever reception awaited them in Earth Alliance territory, they carried crucial knowledge about threats from beyond normal space and technologies beyond current understanding. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "It's time to bring what we've learned home." As the transformed vessel turned toward humanity's birthplace, Captain Nadia Voss gazed at her equally transformed crew. They were no longer merely explorers, but harbingers of a new era, for better or worse. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, their consciousness forever altered by their journey through darkness and their emergence into a new dawn.